Us now, Daniel Illouz, a member of Israel's Knesset, to talk more about the ongoing situation and concerns about the conflict widening. Thank you, as always, for being with us. Let's start with the threat to the north with Lebanon and Hezbollah. You've got two different developing situations. One, an air traffic control base was struck in northern Israel by the Iran-backed militant group, and also the killing of this elite Hezbollah commander. What's the situation to the north and your level of concern?
We've been concerned of the North going out of hand from the start of this war, from October 7th. Our interest in Israel has always been that we want to stay laser focused on Gaza, on Hamas, while also paying close attention to what happens in the north and responding to whatever happens. The latest development comes as a response to allegations that there was a senior Hamas militant that was killed in Beirut, and Hezbollah believes that it's done by Israel, and so this is what is basically causing the current tensions. At this point, I have to say that I think that the situation in the short term is contained, but we're keeping a close eye. And the reason why we're keeping a close eye is because Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that its goals are not very different to Hamas's. And so at any time they can decide that they want to get into a full-on war with Israel. And Israel has to be ready to do exactly what it did in Gaza and what it's doing currently in Gaza, also in the north.
We know Israel has a mighty military. What can you share about Hezbollah's military capabilities?
We have to be fair and say that Hezbollah is much stronger than Hamas. It's a terrorist group that over the year has assembled a lot of weaponry. Again, as a terrorist group, they're aiming these weapons only at civilians and citizens in Israel, not at military targets necessarily. And it's much stronger than Hamas. However, it's in no way a match to Israel's force. And if Hezbollah decides to enter into a conflict with Israel, we know that within Israel will have to be strong. However, Hezbollah will pay a heavy price. Lebanon will pay a heavy price. And I don't think that that's something that Hezbollah wants right now.
Yeah, let's hope you're right on that. There are more than 100 hostages that remain in Gaza. It seems as though those discussions were sidetracked by the death of the Hamas leader in Beirut. Do you have any news to share on talks to bring more hostages home?
At this point, there are no talks. We have always had the door open to potential talks, but we believe here in Israel something very, very simple. The more military pressure we put on Hamas, the more chances there are that talks will happen and that hostages will be released. Because the only thing that Hamas cares about right now is surviving, is getting more time, is the military part of it. And so the more we put military pressure, the more chance we have that there will be talks on the hostage issue.
Dan, can you describe specifically what's happening within Gaza right now? And a moment ago, I said that the focus was shifting primarily from the north now to the central and southern part of the enclave. What is the IDF doing, and where is the focus currently?
So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about this, because I think there is a misconception out there as if the war is coming to an end in Gaza. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's true that in the northern part of Gaza, we have moved on to a new phase. That's what the spokesperson of the military also said very briefly a very short time ago. And we've moved on to a new phase, which involves less troops, but it doesn't mean that the war is anywhere close to being finished. There are still, even in the northern parts of Gaza, a lot of terrorists that are hidden underground with weapons. And what we have achieved up until now in the northern parts of Gaza is that we've been able to dismantle the infrastructure of Hamas as an infrastructure, but it doesn't mean that they're not doing some guerrilla war still. And we still have a very long way to go. And that's what we've told the world ever since the first day, ever since October 7th. The war in Gaza will be complicated. They will have many stages. Some will be more intense, as if when we're fighting Hamas, as an organized group with different units and organized units and infrastructures, but then it will move on to to the Israeli army facing the type of guerrilla warfare that we're facing in the northern parts of Gaza right now, which we will probably be facing also in the southern parts of Gaza once the more intensified part of the military action will be over. So just in order to summarize, it's true that we've moved on to a new phase, but it's in no way a sign that Hamas is defeated, and we need to have a lot of patience in this war.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.